Hello, welcome to Karatsupots today. I am Mike, and today I'm going to show you how I throw bowls with a gyubera. Gyubera is a rib that looks like a cow's tongue, and it's a commonly used tool in the town of Arita for throwing porcelain. It was also used traditionally for throwing karatsu ware way back when, and is still used by a few folks today. And here I am centering the clay. It's about 1 kilogram, so what, 2.2 pounds? So I'm going to do the preliminary work here, opening the form and bringing the walls up and everything just with my hands before I bring the rib into play. In Japanese, it's called Gyubera, which is literally translated as cow's rib, or a cow rib, which I think, I'm not sure the origin of it. I've heard talk that they were originally made out of like water buffalo horn. I just think they look like a big long cow's tongue, and so I call them cow's tongue ribs sometimes. All right, so everything so far is pretty standard. You open the clay, you lift it up, keep the edge compressed, keep the lip compressed. And I'm going back, and what I'm doing with my hands here, I'm not like feeling the clay or anything like that. I'm applying the slip so that it slides well when I'm bringing the rib in. And here, I'm holding the rib, and if you look at under my wrist there, you can see one thumb from my other hand hooked around that rib so I can get some power. And I'm pulling against the rib and bringing it up. Now, more than really lifting the wall at this point is I went there and I'm compressing the wall. And here is the rib from another direction, coming in and adjusting the curve of that form, using the rib in this direction, and then holding the rib against the finger at the end to compress the lip again. So that's already three different ways, three different sort of techniques with this rib for forming. Now I'm going to thin this lip out and fold it over. You don't have to do that. That's just what I'm doing for these bowls. It adds a little weight to the form. And I'm going to use the edge of that rib here, this is the fourth way, and just create a little line on the inside there. That helps define that rolled rim that you just made. And now I'm coming across the bottom, pushing down, compressing, and bringing it straight out to the side, supporting with my finger on the outside above and against that rib to create a flat bottom to that bowl. And you can sort of see the indentation that it created there. And now I don't want flat side or that convex side, so I'm ballooning it out from the inside just a little bit, just add a little bit of curve. So it's a somewhat straight-sided, just slightly curved bowl. I drip some slip in there, and that's getting cleaned up now. Give it a little alteration at the end, and it's done. And I believe that measuring tool was 24 centimeters. So wet, this form is 24 centimeters wide now. The camera's sitting on the work shelf of the wheel, so every time I do something, it shakes the camera. But it's kind of funny. It's like the camera is attached to airplanes when you see them taking off, and they're running down the runway and the camera's shaking, and then when they get into the air, the camera stops shaking. And that's sort of what this like feels like to me. It's like as the clay is getting centered, the camera shakes, but then the clay smooths out. And when you know you're in the clear, the camera stops shaking. All right, doing the same thing here as we did last time. Just opening it up, clawing it up there a bit. Compressing and getting the thickness on the lip that I want. Keeping that interior and exterior covered with slip, not using a lot of water. I'm getting it just about where I want it to be, just with the fingers before the rib goes in. It's almost at the height it needs to be. Now I'm grabbing this rib, which is a nice rounded rib. There are different shapes of these Gyubera, and this is a rounded one that's used for bowl shapes. I'm hooking my thumb on the front of that to lock the hands and the tool together, and pulling up and just compressing, just getting that clay really compressed. And it's hard to describe here, but when you do this, you can feel the clay tighten as you're bringing it up, and you can feel that form sort of stabilize in your hands. It's actually really satisfying when it works right. So now this is using the round end coming up from the inside, and you notice the wall didn't change a lot, but it changed from sort of a straight-sided form to a rounded form. And lubricate the lip there, and then thin it out and turn it over. And the inside, there's not much of a delineation from the top of the form to the inside of the form, so that's why I like to create this little lip here. That gives you something to look at, especially when you alter the form later. That lip does a little up and down undulation that's nice. So here the bottom's getting flattened out and compressed. That little inner edge is formed. And then last, and just ballooning out that wall a bit. And I'm leaving throwing marks more than I normally would because of that alteration at the end. When you do this to it here, those finger marks bend and give some movement, which is nice in my opinion. Okay, and then cut it off the wheel, and that is about it. Thanks for joining me today. Oh, and before I forget, if you like this video, please hit like and subscribe.